Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. We're chatting with Denise Duffield-Thomas today about building your business while embracing more chill. Denise helps women create wealth through her mindset courses on releasing money blocks. She's a Hay House author, and her books Lucky Bitch, Get Rich Lucky Bitch, and Chillpreneur, which is my personal fave, all give a fresh and funny roadmap to create an outrageously successful life and business. Denise is one of my favorite people to hang out with because she totally gets my obsession with finding easier ways to do things. In her own words, she's a lazy introvert and an unbusy mother of three. She also owns a rose farm and lives by the beach in sunny Australia. Welcome, Denise.
You know what? You are my chill role model.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. I'm like, we totally get each other. It's like one mind.
We do. But I think what you've really helped me with in particular is being a chill mum.
Aww.
Because I grew up with a chill mum, but like she was a bit too chill. You know, like it's that parenting by neglect bit too far, right? And what I really love about you is that you're so good at helping women like let go of the guilt.
Aww.
And being enoughness, you know, like the enoughness of like, we're good enough mums, you know, like we're good enough. And the way you run your business and everything like that. So you're a huge inspiration to me in creating a chill life.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so lovely to hear. I think that, you know, that word unbusy that you use to describe yourself on your bio, I think that's kind of like unbusy is the best word that we could use to describe. It's like basically my life goal, right? Like, yeah, I want to do a lot of good things. I want to help a lot of people. I want to make great money, grow my business, raise my children. But I also just want to chill out and relax and enjoy a cruisy life and feel like I'm on holidays all the time and not bother doing anything.
Yes. And one of the reasons why I deliberately use that word is because I noticed when I had kids, I noticed that every time an entrepreneur was talked about in the media or a newspaper or that kind of stuff, if they had kids, it was always like, busy mum of three. Yeah. And then it would be like, you know, has created $1 million business or has done all this stuff. And I noticed that they would never talk about men in the same way, like busy dad of 5. And I just thought, you really like have to be busy and wear this badge of busy. And I remember joining my first mums group.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really funny. Everyone was sitting around and they were like, oh, we're so busy. We're so busy. And then they were like, what about you, Denise? And I said, I'm actually not that busy. And everyone went, and oh my God, I just felt so ashamed that I said that because you're not allowed to say that. You have to be, I'm so busy, I'm so busy, I'm so busy all the time. And every time someone says it, like sometimes people will say it on interviews or, you know, I meet a friend and they'll go, oh, I know you're busy. And I go, no, I'm not. I'm not busy. I've got a full life. Don't get me wrong, right? I've got 3 kids. I've got a dog. I've got a husband. I've got a business. Of course, I've got stuff in my life, but I really try to create it in a way that doesn't feel like I'm being burdened. And that means not spending time with people I don't like, not serving customers I don't like, even the way I do my interviews. So you're my 3rd interview of the day. And I make sure I've got time in between my interviews. And that doesn't happen by magic. I can put that in my Calendly that it will only book 15 minutes after or 15 minutes before or whatever it is.
Buffer.
And so unbusy doesn't just happen sometimes. It's like, it's what are your boundaries around stuff and giving yourself permission to do what you want to do. And I love that you talk about it. So honestly, you're like, well, I quickly cleaned my house because I wanted to watch TV for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about that stuff, the more it makes it like permissible to other women. But if we just stop using that busy word, I think it will really help each other as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that a lot of us, we get sucked into this world, especially when we become mums. We get sucked into this world where being busy becomes like a badge of honor, right? And it's almost like when you're not busy or you're not complaining that you're so busy, then people who are busy feel like you're putting them down almost because they wear that as a badge of honor. And I'm like, no, we just want to relax and chill and just enjoy our lives. And I think, like, historically, if I think about it, and if I think about it in the last few years, the more I've chilled out, the easier it's been to do stuff. Like, my house seems easier to clean when I feel relaxed and chilled about whether or not I'm doing it. And my kids seem more chilled when I'm more chilled. And my business runs better. We've had more growth in the last 12 months and I don't know if you remember, but we were out one night, I think it was about a year ago, and I was like, that's it. I'm scaling back everything. Like, I'm limiting my groups, and I've decided to just do hardly anything for the year. And I thought it was going to be like a sabbatical year. We did better than we had before. Like, it was amazing. It was like I finally, I don't know, it's like not giving yourself permission, but just embracing it. That was a whole nother level for me. So the idea of just embracing the chill.
You've always been good at that, right? Because since we've known each other, you've been like, people are asking me to come to their houses and do stuff. I don't like that. Like, I don't want to do that. And then it was like, I don't want to do one-to-one. And then, so I think you've been really good at just going, I don't want to, and it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't fit into how I want to be. And that's what we all have to give ourselves permission to do, to go like, let me give you a perfect example, right? If you were a cupcake baker and you sold cupcakes, no one would say to you, you should spend your whole business marketing to people who hate cupcakes and like convince them to like cupcakes. But yet sometimes in our businesses, we feel like we have to serve anyone like and everyone. We have to do all the things, even if we don't like it. And it's just like, why don't we just find those little micro niches, preach to the converted, do stuff that we like as well. Oh my God, it'll be so much easier.
It really is easy too, because when you enjoy it, it doesn't actually feel like you have to put any effort in, and you get the same results anyway, which, I mean, that I feel like I should apologize for saying that, but I really don't feel like it. You know, like I remember, you're right, when I used to organize people's homes, and I used to go out there for a couple of times, and I would take all people's emotional energy would go on me, and it would be my job to tidy up for them. And now that I just sell an automated course on organizing, people have way better results anyway, because I'm basically just saying, hey, you can do it. Here's how to do it. You don't have to do it in one go. There was no feeling of, I've got you here, we need to do as much as we can. So my business there lost a lot of that sort of frantic nature as soon as I started saying no to in-person stuff. And you're right, it seems to work its way naturally once you play to your own strengths, right? Like, so if I don't like being around people in person, then of course that's going to feel like hard work if I try and do it.
Always. Whereas someone on the other side of it needs that human interaction.
Yeah.
And I just think being business is just a series of like, do I like this? Do I not like this? Oh, I'm going to tweak.
Yeah.
And I'll either put a new boundary in place or a new procedure or something like that. And just keep on doing that.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about when you were giving that example of just finding easier ways to do things and trying things and being like, okay, well, that works for me, but this doesn't. I've been hanging on TikTok a lot lately in the last few weeks. And I've been trying to get my handle on how to use TikTok for, you know, businessy stuff, because I'm just obsessed and I really like all the memes, and I feel better saying it's for work when I spend like 2 hours watching it. And I was looking at the videos and I was like, oh, I'm not very funny. And I'm not very good at lip syncing. So those two things are out. And I'm not much of a dancer, but I can point at things like nobody's business. And so now all of my TikTok videos are literally just me standing there pointing in time to music and then filling in text on like the little tips that I show people. You know, I'm like, oh, here's how you create a podcast. You go here, you do this, you do that. And it just pops up on text. I have never been so consistent with social media in the last 5 years as I have now with TikTok. And it takes, a minute max to do those. So you're right. It's like, what's faster? What's easier? What could you do with your eyes closed? And what do you enjoy anyway? It's kind of like where we've got to focus, I think.
Absolutely. And you can change those over time as well. You know, you don't have to stick with something just because you started it And I see that a lot too with people. It's the sunk cost fallacy, right? It's like, well, I have to stick with that first business because I've got a website now. And it was such a pain to get that website. Or I did a sales page for it and it took me forever. And it's like, yeah, but that's okay. You'll never lose that skill. You know, you'll have that. And whatever the next social media platform is, like, it doesn't matter if TikTok dies a death next week.
Yeah, you can still make quick videos.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like the tech and just being confident to put yourself out there, you acclimatized to all those things. No one can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, exactly. So you've done a few different businesses in the past too, haven't you? Like, I think we've known each other for about 8 or 9 years now, but you were entrepreneurial years before that, right? Just not with money mindset.
Yeah, entrepreneurial my whole life.
Yeah,
like, it took me ages to figure out that lesson of like, just because something is a problem doesn't mean you have to create a solution for it. I think that was my thing, because especially if you're a problem solver, and I know you are as well, right? We can see how things could be fixed or could be better. And so instead of using that as my talent of helping people make things better, I was like, oh, there's no hooks on toilet doors. Okay, I'm going to start a business like telling people to put hooks on their toilet doors. No, not even making hooks. I was just going to tell them and like consult to businesses and tell them to put hooks on their toilet doors. It was like so dumb. And then I was doing internet dating and I was like, God, men are really bad at this. I'll be an internet dating coach for men, and wrote a book about it. And then I got into raw food and I was like, oh, I can teach people how to make green smoothies. And then I was like, I love watching movies. I could write movie reviews. Yeah, that was a good one, until I was like, oh, it's really boring taking notes in a movie theater. I just want to enjoy it. I'm sure you
took a bit of paper in.
Yeah, I totally did. I
love that.
Nieces movie reviews. And so I think the lesson for me was, just because I'm good at creating solutions doesn't mean I have to solve every problem of everything. And so yeah, I've had a ton of kind of, you know, little bits and pieces that I've tried. But what I really wanted to do my whole life was, I just wanted to be like Oprah. I wanted to help people, but I just didn't think that was a job, because we grew up only seeing Oprah do that. We didn't see anyone else do that. We didn't have bloggers. We didn't have people on YouTube giving advice. I was like, there is one show that can help people do that, and it's the Oprah show. And I don't have a studio, and like, it just didn't seem like a job.
Yeah. And back then you think my only chance of that is if something happens to Oprah and then somebody finds me and flies me over there to replace her. And now we've all got platforms. We're all reachable however we want to be. It's such a different world now, right? Like, I remember I was in high school.
It totally is.
Yeah. No internet when I was in high school. I think I got my first dial-up connection when I was 18. And so, you know, that's a really interesting point of view, because I just realized I had no idea what I wanted to do for a living when I was in high school. And now I realize it's because that job just did not exist. Like, literally.
Didn't exist.
And I didn't want to be on TV because you have to be a certain way. But now I can just be completely me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, when I figured out that I wanted to be like Oprah, I was like, but I read about how she had to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to get to her studio in hair and makeup. And I was literally like, I don't want to get up that early. Which I know you'd get.
Like, totally.
I just don't think I want it that badly to have to get up that early. You know, and a lot of my friends who are in TV and stuff like that, they were the same. They're like, oh, you know, I have to get up so early for her makeup. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to like commute to Sydney every day. But you're right. Now we've got so many opportunities. You can be a creator, you can help people from home, you can do whatever you want, but we never saw it.
Yeah, that's true. But I think there's also a bit of a tricky part though. We've got so much stuff we can do now, right? That like when I was talking about TikTok before, I'm like, I just get so distracted by everything. So something pops up and I'm like, bam, obsessed with it for a month, and then bam, obsessed with this. So how do you balance between, okay, we've got everything at our disposal, but we still want to relax, so we can't do everything all the time and use all of those platforms. We have to find a little balance. Hang on, I'm just getting a question from one of the kids. Hi, can you have some of your gum? Wash your hands. We'll give it to the cat. Okay.
So first of all, this conversation sometimes about shiny object syndrome, I think is really interesting because I know you probably don't feel guilty about it, but some people might hear that and go, oh yeah, I'm like that. I'm jumping from platform to platform. But your superpower is being ahead of the curve, seeing what new things are coming up and then helping other people understand that. So that's actually your job, is to find what those new things are. And I remember you were the same with Periscope. You were like, I'm jumping into Periscope, guys. This is how you use Periscope. And I remember watching that and going, well, maybe I'll do Periscope. And I used to do them in my car when my babies
I loved your car
asleep.
Periscopes. Yeah.
Yes, for hours I'd be like, oh, they're still asleep. Let's keep going. And so some people might think, oh, I'm not being consistent because I'm jumping from thing to thing. But your umbrella thing is new technologies made easy for people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true.
Simple.
And it's so fun. And I know sometimes when I talk to people, it's like they don't see the fun side, whereas I can really see the fun side. Or they'll say, yeah, but that's not for me for this reason. And I'll go, yeah, but you could just twist it this way and do it this way instead, and it would be amazing. You're right. I love that stuff. And I could talk about it all day. And in fact, I really annoy my husband because he's got the lawn mowing business now, right? He's got his own thing going on. And all I want to do is give him pointers on Facebook, and you should be on YouTube, and you should do this, and you should do that. And I don't want to do it all for you. I just want to tell you all the things that you need to do. And then you just tell me that they're amazing once you've done them. But it's not the same way because he doesn't think the same way I do. So I think it's really about getting in front of the right people too, who would actually use that sort of advice. And yeah, I think
yes, and they want you to filter it for them because they know that you're someone who can make it seem really easy and fun and doable and relatable, and you just encourage people to give it a go. So whatever the next TikTok thing is, you'll jump on it, figure it out, hack it. And you would do that for fun and for free, but you have a business where that is part of your business. And so it's up to everyone to do that for themselves. Like for me, I'm not a new technology person. I wait a little bit and filter it through, find out what other people are doing and the hacks, see if it's worth my while. Sometimes I'll skip them altogether and I don't even jump on a bandwagon. Sometimes I'll come in quite late. But what my superpower is that I would do for free, and I've done since forever, is give people advice and tell people what to do.
Oh my God, yes. In a good way, yeah.
In a good way. And my other superpower is finding lessons in everything. And I learned that from Oprah. I would do that for free. So it's like, what are the things that you would do for free that you do all day long, that you probably did since you were a teenager, even though the tech wasn't around necessarily, you probably still did stuff around that?
I was talking in my own kitchen while I was cooking back in the 90s before I even had a video camera, running my own cooking show. You're right, before the tech even existed. Oh, that's
absolutely. So I think that's really cool, right? Because you do that all day long. You never get tired of it, but you've still found a way to monetize that skill, not through teaching TikTok, but through the umbrella thing of, I help you find the shortcut to whatever it is that you want. And so I find that sometimes with people who are ideas people, they beat themselves up about the fact that they don't finish anything. And I'm like, but that's not your job. Your job is to spark ideas off for people, to be, an incubator, to problem solve for people, to see, solutions. Your job is not to take every single one of those baby businesses home and adopt them and raise them. Your job is to be the midwife and the doula of ideas in general.
That is such a
people
good way to look
can't
at
get their head around it.
I love that. But see, I think you sort of do the same thing with money mindset and entrepreneurial stuff for women too, right? It's like Chillpreneur is the perfect example of that. That entire book, when I was listening to it, I listened to it as an audiobook, and every single chapter I was like, yep, that's an easy way to do that. Yep, that's an easy way to do that. Yep, that's way more relaxed version of that. And it was the same sort of concept, right? It was like, okay, here are all the stuff that entrepreneurs are told they have to do, and here's my take on it, which makes it a lot easier. And it was gold. It was gold hearing that stuff. But then
don't do the thing.
Yeah, or don't do the thing.
Okay, to not do it either.
Yeah, exactly. But what I find really interesting is you wrote Chillpreneur, and this is your third book. You wrote it while you also, you had 3 kids, You just bought a farm. You did a whole US tour a couple of years ago. You just got a puppy. You've got a brand new house. I'm like, how do you find time to actually write a book about being able to do everything or pick and choose the right things? You know what I mean? Like, how did you find the time and the balance in order to get that done?
Well, I find writing really hard. Like, I am a real procrastinator. And so I wrote that book like literally a sentence at a time. Most people who tell me they can't write a book, you go to their Twitter account and they've written 5,000 tweets.
That's such a good point.
I'm like, that's a book.
That is such a good point.
You've written a book. It's just that we have a feel like what we think, writing a book, someone sat down and like, it's like a thesis, and it's like, you've already written a book. You just tell people your theory on whatever that thing is. So I literally wrote it a sentence at a time, and I would write a sentence and then I would scroll on Instagram for 3 hours, and then I'd write another sentence and then I'd scroll on Instagram for 3 hours. And so, it takes a while sometimes to write a book if you like that. I have friends though who can write a book in a week.
Wow, really?
Yes, you remember Kat Latozo now?
Katrina yes,
Ruth?
Yeah.
She used to write a book in a weekend.
She's a machine,
like a 30,000 word book. Like, she would just sit down and just go blah blah blah, like focus, do nothing else, just blur it all out. And so there's no right or wrong way to do it, right? And same with courses. I remember, like, at the start, I created a course, and a friend of mine was thinking about creating a course, and she still hasn't done it 10 years later because she's been thinking about it the whole time. And so how long does a course take to make? Who knows? Like, there's no time frame for stuff like that. And so I think the book, for me, the only reason I wrote it was because I told people it was going to be available, and I had to finish it like a university
accountability
assignment.
Yeah.
If there's a movable deadline, you will move that deadline forever. But I was like, it's coming out on the 7th of September, and then you could get people to do pre-orders. You'll finish that book.
Yeah, you have to live up to it by then. You're right. And I've done it with courses too, where you pre-sell before you make the actual course, because you've already got the content in your brain from doing it one-on-one with clients for years, right? So you already know how to fix everything. And the courses I've sold that have done really well are the ones where I've just said to people, okay, it's coming out on this date, and then gone, bugger, I have to make it now.
Now I have to do it.
Yeah.
So, again, I'm not that busy. So I actually there's no excuse. I should be writing a book a month. Like, with the amount of free time that I have spending on Twitter, it's like the part of my brain that could be used for writing books has been taken up by Donald Trump at the moment.
I know.
And I've got to claw that time back, right? Because there's no excuse why I'm not writing my next book. I've got the time to do it. I just don't have the accountability. I haven't set up the accountability structures for myself just yet.
I just find too, life changes so quickly as well. Like, the time that we're in at the moment, everybody feels like they're in limbo, right? So using your time wisely, it's a whole nother level now, because there's so many distractions, but there's also so much downtime at the same time. I think we're lucky in that we don't like being busy. So we've taken this sort of time and embraced it and really enjoyed it. But I know a lot of other people feel like they're frozen right now, and like they can't actually do anything until life returns to normal. So I guess what I'd love to know is, if you're talking to somebody who feels like that, like, I've got a great business idea, but I'm just in that freeze moment where everything just feels really overwhelming, and I don't know what to expect over the next 6 months, or I don't know where to begin, and I just want to lock myself away and spend 3 months creating a logo, getting feedback, should it be pale green or dark green? We've all seen that happen,
never
right?
done that. I've never done that.
What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, God, I spent the first 2 weeks of the full official global quarantine thing. Like, I had to have a nap every day. I was so frozen as well. I just went, oh my God. And I let my mind go, we are going to, none of our clients are going to pay. My business is going to dry up. We're going to lose the house. We're going to do, I really went into scarcity mode for sure. Because everyone else was. And then I realized, I was like, a lot of people were looking to me to go on their podcasts. And so I've done so many podcast interviews over the last 2 months. And so I had to kind of pull myself together, because I had to be able to say to everyone else, hey, it's all going to be fine. But I said that so many times, I was like, oh, I actually am starting to believe it myself too. I was like, oh, okay, it's all going to be fine. So the other thing that I did is I looked to see how I could feel empowered at this time. And so I was like, I'm going to buy stuff from my community.
I loved that.
Yeah. And I just did a thread and said, if you've got a course or a product or service under $100, post it here. I'm going to spend $5,000. And I ended up spending about $6,500. And it made me feel empowered because I was like, I want to, again, at the start, I was like, ah! And then I was like, I have to be the flight attendant on the plane who is super calm throughout the turbulence because people are looking at me to see if she's freaking out, then I'll freak out. So I was like, it's fine. This is fine. Let me spread some confidence money into our community. And then I realized, I was like, oh no, it is fine. And that's not to say like, you know, there are people who have lost their jobs. Like there's some real horrible stuff, obviously. But like, I can't fall into the pit of despair because if we all do,
then we're not digging our way out. Yeah.
No. And so for those of us who can be a little bit calm, take stock of what we have, practice gratitude, give where we can, even if it's not money, maybe you can give encouragement to someone else because then that will give you the courage to do it yourself. If you're saying, hey, girlfriend, like get your book out, you're really saying it to yourself as well, right? Yeah. So that really helped me. And then I realized I was like, I'm still spending money. Other people are still spending money. Like in the last 2 months, I've hired people to work on websites for me, branding. I've hired editors, book writers. I've bought candles. I've bought magnetic lashes. I've bought accessories for my dog. I've bought new makeup, new skincare, pajamas. Like I'm still spending money. Other people are still spending money. And so I just think if you've got a product or service that can help someone, don't judge. And by the way, candles can help people. You are a big fan of candles.
I've used more candles now than ever before.
Totally. So let's not judge what we're offering because it might be a necessity for them. It might be a practical thing. Or someone might be like, you know what? It is time for me to work on my website during this downtime. So you can't judge and make up stories about why people want or don't want your thing. Because, hey, we've all got a responsibility to keep the economy going. And like I've been justifying it because, you know, I'm a romantic in lots of ways like you are. I think it's my third. Is it your second or your first? Can't remember. But you are a romantic through and through. This is the money
I don't think it's my first. I think it's in the middle. Yeah.
Okay. Go on. So romantics are all about pleasure and self-care and all that kind of stuff. So every time I buy something, I'm like, it's a stimulus thing. And so I'll go into a coffee shop just to buy a tea. And then I'm like, I really should buy these pickles. They're stimulus pickles. Like it's a stimulus cake. It's like stimulus pizza, Mark. And so I'm justifying all this. Yes. I'm like making myself feel soothed and good, but like I'm justifying it by saying like, stimulating the economy, Mark.
Yeah. And I think, you know what, that's kind of our superpower is we have this way of finding even the teeniest, tiniest silver lining, even the tiny ones. And I think that's why I really like that whole concept of the law of attraction and, you know, positive thinking. Like nobody's saying, hey, the world is wonderful right now. But what we are saying is if you look really, really closely, you can grab those little snippets of good and they're the things you focus on. And then all of a sudden, because you focused on them, you notice more of them and then more and more kind of start popping up in front of you. And that's when we kind of get to a point where we're like, oh, wait, no, I can handle this. No, I can do that. No, I can't even enjoy that at the moment. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of where, you know, the world needs people who view things with that silver lining as well and who want to help instead of just freeze. And yeah, I think there's a place for chilled and relaxed and enjoyable no matter what we're facing, really.
Absolutely. And if you've got a business that is like, you know, encouraging community or you're serving people in that way, even more reason that you need that downtime, right? Because I did so many interviews this month where I was just like, you know, giving and talking and teaching and reassuring. And so I was like, this is part of my business to go and sit in a room for like an hour playing games on my phone. Like, I can't be in that giving mood 24/7 or I'll burn out.
Yeah, exactly. Although I can't lie, when all of this first happened, there was a few moments where I was like, this is my golden age because this is as close as we're going to get to a zombie apocalypse. And I was like, all of my mental plans that I had up here in my brain, this is my chance to do it. So like, even, you know, we went out, I took one of the kids out to get their flu shot the other day, and it was the first time that they had been out in weeks, and they were like, it's so different out here. And of course I was like pretending I was in a zombie movie the whole time, and we were like going out for groceries. I don't know, I think it's just, it's really the way you look at things helps a lot, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I think you and I have got something in common there. We love zombie movies,
Yeah.
but I don't think either of us would have the physicality to like run away from zombies. We would just hole up and just wait for it all to blow over, basically.
We would find the good people to hang with that could kill them for us, or find a getaway car, or, you know, dig for water. we would find the people.
Totally. My thing is I'm going to put ladders all over my house. So if like it was a zombie coming, I could just quickly just jump up, run up the ladder.
I thought you meant the zombie would climb up the ladder.
No, the zombies can't. The other thing is all my last houses were on top of a hill. And I always thought, like, when you see zombies and they're just mindlessly walking along, they wouldn't mindlessly walk up a hill. They would always go downhill. And so I'd always feel really safe thinking, oh, I'm on top of a hill. At the moment, I'm at the bottom of the hill, and I'm like, this is where all the zombies would congregate. But then I've got a big concrete wall in front of my house, and I'm like, yeah,
you're good. Okay. You're still good. I need a moat is what I need, where they just get trapped under the water. Yeah, no, clearly I have spent a lot of time thinking about this, and you know, this is the only moment we're going to have for that sort of thing, so might as well embrace it.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, this has been so fun. Like, I have so loved chatting with you because we haven't had a chance to in a while, and it's just, every time I talk with you, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is really cool. And this is really cool. And this is what we do. That's amazing. And it's like this little light kind of shines. It's like adding fairy lights to my life when I chat with you. You know, when you
definitely. You know, it's like whenever we go to the movies, we both go sit in our car for like a couple of minutes and like take notes and like, okay, what was that podcast that she mentioned that I have to listen to? And what's that book that she's reading at the moment? What are you reading at the moment? I would love to hear.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm obsessed with Outlander, right? Yeah. I found a whole nother series where people go back in time and fall in love, and it's really, really awkward. It's called what's it called? The Ruby Brooch? It's Brooch, isn't it?
Brooch. Oh, yeah. And then there's like an Emerald one or something like that.
Emerald, Sapphire. There's like 12 of them now. And I went and got 4 of them at the library before it shut down. And now I'm like, please open up again, because I can't find them in any bookshops anywhere. And I'm obsessed. They're amazing. And pretty much anything in a series, because I need to commit to long-term projects at the moment. So book-wise, it's anything that has 3 books or more. In fact, I'll show you one that I'm reading right now that's also a microphone tripod. This is one called The Summer Queen. It's by, is it Claire? No, Elizabeth Chadwick. Have you heard of that?
Oh, I think I have heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's about a queen called Eleanor of Aquitaine. It's a true story. Well, the actual book's not a true story, but it's based on her life.
Person,
and I'm loving it. It's
a series. Let me tell you what I'm reading. So I'm reading a murder mystery. Just trying to find it in my Kindle. So sometimes I feel like I need that little bit of a palate cleanser of like a murder mystery kind of thing, so I can. Oh, I can't even think what it's called. I can't see it on there. But then one book I'm excited to read is called Billionaire in Training.
Oh, who's that by? I haven't heard of that.
It's Brad Sugar's. So I'm interested in trying that, because I love the idea of always just like what is possible. You know, what's possible and what blocks have you got of going to the next level. So I thought, that's a really interesting one. But I love like a little bit of Stephen King sometimes, or like mysteries, or I like reading all sorts of different genres. I've actually probably read business books very sparingly over the last couple of years.
This is the first, actually probably for me it's been the whole social distancing. That's when I kind of switched to more fiction. And so I've been getting back to John Grisham books and James Patterson books, and then, you know, your kind of cringy love story time travel books. And I'm really getting back into that. And I've introduced my daughter to, you know, trilogy series like the Hunger Games. And there's a new one of those coming out. There's a new Hunger Games book coming out any day now.
Yes, a new Hunger Games and a new Twilight book, right?
Oh, is there really?
Yes, so a new Twilight book written from the perspective of Edward. So that's going to be some cringy. I think we've seen some of the Twilight movies together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially I think the last one.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think just like focusing on pleasure is so important at the moment, wherever that's going to be for you, whether it's like, you know, books or movies or TV shows or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think telling people that you are taking that time, like I know in our family, there are most days now I go to bed at like 7:30 and just read a book, or I'll watch YouTube videos or something like that, or I've been watching The Office, the American version of The Office. It took me this long to watch it, and I'm loving it. And at first I thought that the kids would be like, where's mum? How come we're not spending any time with her? And then I realized they just bring their blankets and their pillows and their books in and lay down on the same bed, and we have like family reading time. And so I think that's also a really good thing.
I love that.
Yeah, there's no apology, there's no explaining it. People just kind of find their own groove, and this is a great time to do it. So might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been so fun. I have so loved chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming on and having a little chat. I should say, if anybody is listening out there and wants to go further, where should they go? Should they go for the book, your website, your socials? Where are they going to find you at?
Yes. So my website is denisedt.com, D as in Duffield-Thomas. But actually Instagram's my favorite, you know, like, so my handles are the same everywhere, Denise DT as well. It's very easy. I love hearing from people who've read my book on Instagram. Like I love when people screenshot it, pick like their favorite bit, or they show a picture of the book with like all post-its in there, or because I never post it or highlight books. So I love when people send me theirs of like, here are all the highlights. And I'm like, my Virgo loves that and hates it at the same time. Yeah, that's where I hang out most of the time.
Yay. All right, good. All right, guys, so you can find Denise on Instagram. Yep. And where else?
Yay.
Facebook? Probably Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook as well, but Instagram is like my hangout, I reckon. And like I'm on Twitter, but I only just talk about Trump on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter for arguing with people.
Yeah, I post and ghost. I'm like, you're wrong and you're stupid, and then I just go away and I never read their responses. But all my books are on, you know, Kindle, paperback, Audible, all the things. So I'm super easy to find.
You're everywhere in a good way.
I'm everywhere. Yeah, exactly.
All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Go and check Denise out on Instagram if you want to know more, and we will see you later. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.